I listened to the Three Stacks album, and I gotta say that it's one of the most honest bodies of work that I've listened to in a long time. And I think if people really took time to understand what it is, where it came from, I think you could at least appreciate it or respect it. So many times we forget that the expectations that we don't like placed on us, we place them on other people. And when we place those expectations on other people, we fail to realize that once that turns to us, that we're going to feel what those people felt when they had those expectations placed on them. This is your craft. This is your gift. Live it out. I mean, enjoy it. Have fun with it. A lot of times when we finally overcome that fear of really being our true selves, our honest selves, not the us that we feel like we have to filter in order to get people to accept who we are, we take a moment and kind of reflect on it. And we look back like, man, there's so much resentment built up. There's so much time passes before we really dive into the person that we are or we hope to be. And I mean, take the creatives that you see that that not very many people know. For a long time, people would try to find new music. They would try to find new connections, even clothes. I mean, we take a lot of time and we put a lot of time into having things that no one else has. Like when we were growing up, when I say we, of course, people around my generation, I've never been one to, be ashamed of my age. I'm 41. I'll be 42 in a couple of months. And what I've learned is that during my upbringing, we all were like, man, oh, you got those. Those are dope. I would love some of those. If we could get them, if you were that kid that could get them, you got them. Aside from that, it was like, okay, you moved along, you moved around. Respect was given to those who were original, whether it was a superficial thing, a material thing, a clout thing, but that person had whatever respect they had because they were an original and they did what they felt was who they are. And it doesn't always equate to a person being authentically nice or authentically mean. It's as long as it's authentically them and they're genuine. That's what we looked at. And a lot of people got respect for just that, being who they were. And they convinced you that that's who they were. And I think the 3000 album proves that you can be you when you feel like it. You don't have to wait till you have accolades and titles and different things behind your name and stuff like that. You could actually just be you every day. The cool thing about what I do, for me, first and foremost for me, is that like, this is my logo. This is my stuff. Everything in my space I choose to create, and then create it to something, to a degree, and a certain degree, and it being something that I love, something I'm satisfied with. People critique you all the time over what they feel about what you do. Yeah, it's not always about whether or not they feel like they could do it or could have done it. Sometimes people just want to have an opinion on something and that opinion be relevant. I'm never one to tear people down for having an opinion. If they have one, cool. I like when people have opinions. I don't rush to defend it. Whenever I want to clarify something, I clarify it. But when you get down to it, like, what are you creating for yourself? You don't have to be an artistic creative. You could be a concept creative, an idea creative, whatever it may be. We're all creating something. And in that creativity, I think sometimes we lose the foundation of just wanting to create whatever it is for ourselves, free of judgment. And I mean, it's the coolest thing to me for me to even be considered a podcaster or an artist or a t-shirt plug or whatever they would say. Whatever it is people would view me as, I mean, it's a humbling feeling, because if someone has an opinion of you, that speaks highly of you. Because there's so many people in this world that we don't have an opinion about. They don't matter to us. So many circumstances, so many concepts, so many things. We don't really have an opinion about those things because they don't really matter to us. So if someone has an opinion of you, you must matter in some regard. It's not so relevant that you not disappoint people with what you put out. It could be a show, it could be your podcast, it could be your clothing brand, it could be your music, the music itself, or it could be the vocals, it could be your lyrics, it could be your visual arts, it could be anything. I think a lot of times when we stop creating for ourselves things that satisfy us, that's when we lose that part of us that's going to create authentically, until what we love becomes what the world loves, or at least loves about us. You know, we don't have to create to be accepted, but if we do it long enough and we believe it, that's all the acceptance we'll need. But then everybody will come to respect and accept the fact that that's who you are. But the other side to that is, as you evolve, as you grow, you become more of who you are, and not just this definition of that people try to define you by. Because most of the world wants to place you in a box, because they want to be able to relate to you. They want to say, I know them, I know what they're going to do. And as much as people try to be different, they love predictability. They love to know what's going to happen. As much as people talk about spontaneity and randomness and things that are just different, they love to want to know and understand something. They want to be an expert on something. And we have to realize that that's just the nature of people. We all do it, whether it's, intentional or inadvertent. We do it. We do those things that we hate the most being done to us. And we get into these spaces where we think that we're exempt from being judged because we're sincere, because we mean what we say, because we put a lot of stock into what we do, because we have a good heart. We've never hurt anybody. We think of ourselves in this way that if we're so much of this, how can they not understand, accept, or be able to fathom? Because I've always said this, and it was something that I guess it's a God-given idea that came to mind a long time ago, is that common sense is always present. But what's common to that person's sense of awareness? So where I come from, what I'm used to, the relationships I've been in, the ones I'm in now, where my mindset is, what I've studied, what I've learned over the years, that's what's common to me. You may not have been in those spaces, those circles and things like that. So that's not common to you. So you're not going to act or react. You're not going to be proactive or reactive to the same things that I am, or the same things that I'm not. So as soon as we get to that space, not only of accepting that, but also looking at ourselves and realizing what are things that we don't accept about people, because we are afraid that, or let me rephrase, because when you say afraid, a lot of people tend to think like, oh, I'm not afraid, I'm not scared of anything, or I'm not scared of that, or I'm not afraid of that. The things that when we get to know people, the things that give us that feeling of, man, I thought I knew something different. Now I'll place that the word I feel really describes it, and it's that fear that those things we hold dear, especially people that we hold close, we get to a space of fear where we feel like, man, maybe I'm going to lose this person. Maybe I'm going to lose that connection. And when we lose those connections with people, that's when we feel the most alone. That's when we try to hold on to what's close to us, hold on to that tighter circle. And it can interfere in our creativity. It can interfere in our ability to be those things that we're so confident in. Man, it's a beautiful thing, absolute beautiful thing to be Black. And I'll just put that out there just like that. It's a beautiful thing to be Black. The crazy part about that is, for me or anybody else to say that, there's always somebody who's going to say, well, it's a beautiful thing to be white. It's a beautiful thing to be Asian. It's a beautiful thing to be Hispanic and all these other things. As if me saying that it's a beautiful thing to be who I am means that I'm saying it's not beautiful to be something else. When did it become such a combative statement to be proud of who you are? Now, me being a Black man, of course, it's been a long time. And every time they have the conversation of violence and crime and minorities and things like that, you think of a Black person. In most cases, where I come from, that's what's being said. That's what's being projected. But everybody becomes a minority at some point. When do we learn to respect the areas of our lives to become the person that we want to associate ourselves with? If you're not the person you want to associate yourself with, then how are you even free or even thinking or feeling as if you're that privileged to have a mindset to judge someone else or their work or their art or their creativity? Who's to say whose heart's better than another person's? This comes from my heart. You're telling me my heart's not good? You're telling me my heart's not worthy? This comes from my head. My head is connected to my heart in some way. You're telling me my thoughts are wrong. You don't want to be told that, but a lot of people want to give their opinions on something that's really not relevant to their breathing. I'm nobody's philosopher. I'm nobody's mentor at this point other than my kids. And I do the best I can to make sure that as a good inspiration, a good example, this young lady, she calls herself Bex. I followed her for years now. Her artwork is phenomenal. She's done some great work all over the place. And I wanted to use one of her quotes that she's had on several different pieces of clothing and stuff like that. She says, "Be a good human." And at the time, I thought it was just a dope concept. It's a dope creative concept. Excuse me. It was just a really great idea to put out there. And I feel like it took off. I feel like a lot of people really gravitated towards it, accepted it. And that was great. I was like super happy for this person. And she probably knows not who I am at all. I've like commented on some of their work and just wanted to give her props. Mine may just be a drop in the bucket. Who knows? But why don't we strive to be good humans? Why don't we strive to put out good energy? There's a couple of people I listen to. I won't start naming people, but I've shouted you out. I've shared your posts. I've hit you up for various reasons just to say what's up. Let you know I rock with what you're doing. Maybe not so much because I just listen to it or I watch it, but I believe in what you're doing and I believe that you believe in it. And that's what makes me want to support it. I've always been like that. So, I mean, to me, it's important that you are somebody that people feel is a good person. I never want people to feel like after they've been in my presence, like, why did I even take that time? That was a waste of my time. I need to do something different. And I mean, sure, a lot of my episodes are about sex, and okay, but why are we acting like that's not a part of society? That's a part of my truth. That's a part of my creativity. And when it comes to it, for me, it's just a matter of what do I want to talk about at this time And how do I get this message across? Because we all filter out what we say, what we do to try to really figure out whether people are listening. And if people are listening, cool. But we always try to figure out the best way to say and do things. And it started off as that, I'm not gonna lie, at the sound of my voice, became something that it inspired me in a lot of different ways. But I also realized that when it came down to it, when it came down to the people that were listening, the feedback I got, I realized like, man, I could really give a perspective using this platform, and then probably give other people an opportunity to have their own voice. But you know how people are. You work with people. Some people assume that, oh, why are you working with this person? You could do this yourself. Like, honestly, if you've been in business long enough, if you've been creating long enough, some of the best work has come out with collaboration. Why not have a community? Why not have people that you can work with? You can call on and say, hey, this is what I'm putting together. What do you think? The smart response would be yes. Cool. Let's see how we can make that happen. Let's see when we can make that happen, if we can make that happen. Because if you just look at the dynamics of it, that's two different audiences at least that's introduced to both sides of it, both brands. And you go from everybody who or that knows you to the audience that knows this person or these people or this company and things like that. And then you start to see how it's beneficial. But it also goes back to being unbiased, being open to new things and new ideas when it comes to people. Everybody's not the same. Everybody shouldn't be the same. Everybody should be who they are. If you see those similarities, cool. You got something in common with. But why strive to have everybody only believe in the things that you believe in? How long is that going to last? It's like the beginning of a relationship where you both seem to want the same thing. You're missing the same things. Then eventually when you find out how different you are, you go from looking at all the things that you've done, the things that have connected you, to how different are we? And that becomes a problem versus bringing different things to the table. Nobody's going to sit and only eat one thing at dinner. You eat different things. Everything has its part, everything has its place, everything has its time, however it is you consume. Why not be like that with people? Allow them to be all parts of who they are. You can be all parts of who you are in that conversation, in that relationship. And that brings a level of authenticity, a level of foundation, a level of growth, a space where everybody can thrive. No, I'm not Mr. Save the World, but I honestly feel like, that old quote, and I'll probably misquote it, but I will say this about it. The end of it says, but I will spark the mind that changes the world. And all of us can be a part of that conversation. All of us can add our 2 cents to it, if you will, to help push that conversation forward. I mean, it's definitely something that we can look at and believe in, because it's something that's deep down in us, that when we move, we want to see people successful because it shows us what can be done. Even those that have in their heads or their minds that, oh, they only got it because of this or that. But now it's attainable. How do you get yours? Do you want what they have, or are you just upset or in deep thought about what you want and asking, this is all I want, and they have this, maybe I can have this? People who know me best know that I believe in a higher power. And that higher power for me is God, hands down. I mean, this is my video. These are my thoughts. So you don't want to hear what I have to say, you can pretty much step back from my platform. I'm never one to say anything that's intentionally off-putting. But when it comes to what I believe, if you don't want to hear it, don't ask. Don't follow me. Don't be on my platforms. because the whole reason I am where I am is because God put me here. He put me in a space where I can be creative. He put the creativity in my head, and as I get older, he has inspired me to show that, man, you're a good dude. Continue to try to be a good dude. Continue to push other people to be the best versions of themselves, not what you want them to be. And I love it. I love every aspect of it. And I've been on social media since 2005. I've expressed various things through my writing, whether it was poems or stories, artwork that I posted, conversations I've had on other people's platforms. And I feel like it takes a lot to really just say, okay, well, hey, I'll say something and give that to people, because you never know how people are going to take it. The good thing about podcasting, the good thing about lives, where you don't allow comments, maybe recorded videos, those types of things, when you put out your content, people have to get some part of it. If they don't like it, they won't keep listening. But then the other part to that is, if they continue, they have to hear your whole thought. They have to actually hear it through and through, see it through and through. And they may make comments in the middle, but they're probably going to pause it, rewind it, go back, look at it. They're going to do all these different things, because guess what? They hate that they missed something. You know, when they're in person, it's different. They can interrupt you. They can say something that'll change your thought. You can't get your whole thought out. But this part of it, people who want to listen, they're going to listen. So you have the opportunity to really say something. So what are you saying? And no, there's really no premise for this whole dialogue that's here, so to speak, more so monologue, I guess. I don't know, man. I'm just really thankful for how far I've come and the things that I'm able to do. And hopefully somewhere in between all of this, I've been able to inspire somebody to be more of who they are, reach for the things they want to reach for. Hopefully some more collaborations come out. I love working with people. I love hearing people's visions. I love hearing the genuine nature of people. And it's a great thing to be who you are. It's a great thing, because that's what you bring to the table. That's the difference. That's the authenticity. That's what the world needs in itself. A lot of my people now know online, for the most part. Some people who know me close, they'll call me Moreo J. I don't know. I fell in love with it a long time ago. My best friend, Brandy, she actually started calling me that. Don't know why, but she did. And I appreciate that. It's something that I've owned for a long time, better than a decade now. So just loving everything about what's transpiring, hoping that all of you really get the brand itself, the Rated Poetic brand, the Channel 82 brand, at the sound of my voice, because all of it's bigger than where I'm at. It's bigger than even where my mind could even think to ask. Because the one thing I learned is that no matter how big or far-fetched my dreams and ambitions are, nothing I could ask for is going to be bigger and better than what God has for me. And so you can look out for a lot more coming from me, especially during the times where it may seem like nothing's really happening. And I just drop an episode, which I did drop an episode on At the Sound of My Voice. So go check that out. It's called At the Feel of My Touch. And it's a play off of At the Sound of My Voice. So yeah, go check that out. A lot of things didn't necessarily work out the way I had planned, but I'm still thankful. I got a chance to, link up with some really dope people, whether we produce something together or I just got a chance to connect with them. It's really cool to be able to do that, especially turning an idea into something that comes out of all this. So super thankful. I'm still going to be working on all of the brands to really expand and do some things to connect people, connect with people, and bring out more of that creativity. Again, shout out to 3 Stacks. I mean, he may never see this video or even know who I am, but you know, people don't have to know who you are in order for you to root for them and really appreciate what they put out in the world. Sometimes it's just good to say congratulations, even if that person doesn't hear you. It might do your spirit some good. But I'm Moreo J. I'm out of this. Those of you who listen all the way through, thank you. Those of you who rock with the brand, thank you. You can follow me on at The Sound of My Voice on Instagram, Channel 82 on Instagram. Those of you who are that nosy, you can go to my Moreo J page. There's also Channel 82 on Facebook. Rome0205 on Snapchat. There's Moreo J on TikTok. Wherever else. You can listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Anchor, Spotify, Breaker, a lot of other places like that. You'll be able to find it. You can get my first book with my co-author, Lady B, Convergency Volume 1. You can get on Amazon. Prefer you go to lulu.com, look up Convergency. That's CONVERGENCE, the Spanish word for yes, which is SIC, and an exclamation point, and you type in Volume 1, you'll get it. The greatest thing about this whole experience is that I can look back and appreciate what I set out to do, and it's there. And anybody who's ever been in conversation with me, I'm gonna always show you nothing but love, nothing but acceptance for who you are, whether we really kick it like that or we don't. Keep doing what you're doing, because trust me, you may not know it yet, but it never goes unnoticed. Peace.